got news for you. Yes, I do. I'm like your angel of love, girl. I've come to see you through. So when you cry, let me wipe your tears. When you're scared, I wanna be there to calm your fears. When you're in need, baby, ring my phone. I'll run right over and we'll make love all night long.
Man, what's good? What's good?
What's happening?
Do we have a skeleton crew or something tonight? Where's everybody at? I know Glenn said he was holding out because he was disputing his contract, and I said we were disputing the fact that he had a contract.
See, that's why I didn't come.
Is that right? Cortez Mac? What's good?
What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing?
Man. Yeah, been a minute, man. Always good to see your face. Production team, I did not see the link pop up on the NDTV page. So if that's something that's going on or you guys need to fix, go ahead and fix that so that we can share the show.
We're live, brother.
No. I know we're live, but I'm not saying it on the NDTV page.
Yeah, you put it
Usually I pull it from there and put it on mine. Robert, maybe you can.
Hey, look, man, this is the production team. Let me just bump in here since he always wants to talk about the production team, what they doing. Could you do this and do that? We working over here, man. That's what we doing.
Well, evidently you're not. Evidently you're not, since I don't see the link on the page.
Hold on. Let me mute him because you see the echoes coming from him. There we go. How you like them apples? That was Facebook, dude. They delayed everything. I was trying to share it myself and couldn't do it. So I don't know what they're doing, but it is live on the page now. You mute yourself? There you go.
Welcome, Roger.
Welcome.
Roger, are you joining us this evening?
You know what? I think I will. Y'all look a little light, a little thin, so I think I will. At least till the regular guys get here. What up, TJ?
Hey, man, good to see y'all with the exception of Roger.
And I'll be working over here as well, so that's why my eyes are diverted.
I'm busy sharing this YouTube link, and I guess if it does pop up, Roger, then we'll do what we normally do and ask people to, share the link or whatever, man. But
TJ's on YouTube, so it must be up.
Oh, she said she's on YouTube?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh yeah. I saw that, but for the Facebook family, I like to put it on my own page. So, but how's everybody doing, man? Everybody good?
Exhausted.
Yeah, for good reasons or bad reasons. You can be exhausted for good reasons. You can be exhausted for bad reasons. So,
let me tell you, man. Since this is the cave and I rarely am in here, this was my day.
Because you're not really welcome, but go ahead.
This boy ain't gonna learn, man. I will continue this show. Hi, welcome to the cave. I'm Roger Jackson tonight. That's gonna be all night. I see that right now. Let me just keep my finger over that.
I'm just gonna take a drink every time you pull me out. Hey man, I know that Mel is on the move. I think he said he might pop in from the airport. I don't know where he's coming from, but he's coming from doing something big and brilliant as usual, I assume. And Glenn is probably being arrested right about now because he's not really a law-abiding citizen. So that's my hope anyway. Robert, good to see your face. I just saw your man. I just saw Steven in Hyde Park.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, just saw Steve in Hyde Park, man. He hollered at me. Somebody had tried to deliver my mail to one of his buddies, and some kind of fluke, and Cortez, what's going on, man, on the filmmaking side, man? Before we get into it, you got anything popping off? You got any new award this week? What's going on?
Right, he gets a new award every week.
Every week, Roger. I never heard of the awards he get. I believe he make them up.
Yes, sir.
Because I never heard of them. You got like Fat Larry statue for great filmmaking. You know,
Encourage yourself, Cortez.
That's right. It's on the shelf, baby. Everything good, man. Just enjoying the life, man, and appreciate chatting with you, gentlemen, tonight.
And being a great husband and father as always, and treating your wife like the queen she is, right?
Well, bless your heart.
Trying to encourage you, man. I'm trying to encourage you.
I got you, man. It's all. Listen, I make sure this marriage thing stay fun, man.
You got to, man. You know, it's gonna be hard enough without us making it hard. You know, not that I have any experience, but you know, one day I do. One day I hope to, you know, to be doing it. I haven't given up hope. There was a time when I had given up hope, but I'm back among the hopeful. You know, and I believe that it could happen even for, you know, a lowly like me. And so, you know, I'll be looking to you guys, man, for direction. And you know, I've got some great examples, so I can say that I do have some great examples. Roger's marriage to my current wife is going, you know, wonderfully, and I can always check in there and make sure that things are going the way they.
Hey, Robert, I was leaving the house, man, to go get something to eat one day. This dude drove past me, and I'm like, that looked like Sean. I called him, where you at, Sean? Like, I'm downtown. You wasn't headed to my house, bro.
Hey, I just now realized you thought I was probably stalking your wife at that moment. Like he thought I was leaving, and he gonna try to come ring the
It's
doorbell.
all fun and games until you see that dude by your house.
With a cup, talking about a cup of sugar. Talking about he had a cup of sugar for you.
Marriage is either a sitcom or a tragic comedy. It depends on what you make out of it.
True that. Hey, man, we would be remiss if we didn't. We're almost almost 10 minutes in. That's how quick it goes, man. We would be remiss, man.
Check it in. I'm sorry, Sean.
Okay. We would be remiss if we did not mention, man, the sudden passing of Coolio on yesterday, man. I think about that guy because for me, you're significant. Your music is really significant if it impacts culture. And you don't have to have 100 hit records, Cortez. You know what I'm saying? You can have one record that impacts culture, and to me, that puts you in a different class. You know what I'm saying? And that Gangsta's Paradise, man, it impacted. Not only did it impact our culture, but to this day, like for example, if I'm talking to Kennery, our friend Kennery, and we're texting, he regularly says, you know, Coolio, as you know, it's like, okay, that's cool or good or whatever. I'll talk to you later, Coolio. Now he doesn't spell it the same way, but we know it came from that. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, when you impact culture, man, you really leave your mark and you leave your legacy. And that guy did that, man, with his uniqueness and, you know, that one major song, man. And so, you know, as we get older, man, the reality of our own mortality is always just hitting us in the face, you know. And so I certainly want to, on behalf of the cave, man, I want to, you know, say our condolences go out to that man and his family and everybody that he touched, that he knew and didn't know, you know, because you're in a position like that, you know, you're touching people that you'll never actually meet or converse with or whatever. But yeah, man, prayers up, man, for Coolio, man. We lost one of hip hop's most significant presences on yesterday, man. Hey, it seems like I got mostly relationship stuff on my brain, man. Tonight, Robert hit me with something earlier in the day or the week. I don't even really recall. To me, it was something that we had kind of bounced around before, and so I thought I would put a bit of a different spin on it. He asked, well, I'm sure he was getting the question as it was asked to him, but the question was, why are men so resistant when it comes to commitment? Which I don't think is true. So I wouldn't ask that question. But I would ask, why is there this perception about men and commitment? And I don't mean to be on the attack of women right now, but a lot of the stuff that men carry was put on us. It wasn't necessarily true. It was just, it was convenient for people to put this in our lap, and it stuck, right? Just like the people that think cheating is only something men do. It's convenient for you to put it in the lap of men if you're somebody that's cheating and you're not a man and you don't want to be looked at. You know what I'm saying? So I would ask, where do you think that perception comes from? Who's responsible for that perception? There's Big Mill, probably in the airport, like we said, checking in. What's up, good Nuke? What we're talking about right now, and we just gave our condolences to the family of Coolio Mill, and we talked about how his music, man, impacted our culture in a particular way. But now we're talking about the perception of men and commitment. I don't believe that men have a problem with commitment, like it's painted. But I do want to know where you think that perception comes from, and do you think it's just? And since he's never in the cave, our resident A506 producer, Roger, I'm going to ask you to field that question first, and be nice, because people don't really realize, as Christian as you are, you're not nice.
Well, I was working because Facebook is tripping. So I believe your question is, where did the misconception come that men aren't ready for relationships or want relationships?
Aren't willing to commit, have a problem with commitment.
Okay. I think that came from, oh, wow, you said be nice. Okay. The nicest way I can put this is it came from bitter single women. And bitter single women tend to talk more than happy women. And so that's how it spreads. It's what you hear, and who you're around. Growing up, for me personally, my mother's one of 15, so I have a huge family, a lot of friends and family. I wasn't even aware of the idea that fathers, Black men, are not in the homes until I was past my 20s, because I wasn't around. Every brother I knew, their father was there. All of my cousins, their father was there. So I never heard that. But if your circle is like that, then that's what you believe is the reality. It's the same as when in the 80s, they said there were more Black men in prison than there were in college. However, when people actually looked at the data that study came from, they looked at all men. They didn't look at the men between the ages of 17 and 21, which are in college. Because at that time, the number of men that were in college between the ages of 17 and 21, there were more in college than there were in prison. But that wasn't the data that they used. So you have to look at really what the source is and who are saying and who you're around when you hear that kind of stuff. If you're around people that say it all the time and all of you are in the club together and all of you are single and all of you have relationship issues, then you believe it.
Yeah, you kind of preach that thing. That's certainly. I mean, that's where I think it comes from. I think it comes from people that benefit from weaponizing it. Basically, it from putting a certain perception out there. It's almost like the saying says, there's nobody more eager to dog you than the person that thinks you're gonna tell the truth about them. Cortez, I saw you nodding and doing the electric slide and the snake while Roger was talking. So I know you have an opinion about it, brother. And let's just say Cortez is our resident angry married man.
Happily
angry married man.
Call it what you want to call it. That's right.
But he defends men. Like I call myself an advocate for men, but Cortez will pop his trunk on y'all about men. So, but come on, brother, I really want to hear what your thoughts are on it and how you think it got started, whether you think it's justified or what.
Well, it's an unfortunate thing that many people think like this, and it's just not women. Some men capitalize off this statement, this environment, this spirit. But I mean, for me, I'm around married folks, and as a filmmaker, videographer, I mean, I am participating not just on the film side, but officiating a lot of weddings. And think about it, a lot of weddings wouldn't exist if men didn't ask women to get married. Men are more committed. We're just not looked at as being committed.
Cortez, isn't that, not to cut you off, but isn't that funny? Doesn't that basically show you how much bullshit is in the whole allegation that men won't commit, but women don't ask men to get married. Men ask that question. So there really wouldn't be no damn weddings if men weren't committing, right?
And not to, and the thing about it is even in the process before the wedding, we're dating, we're going through the courting, we're asking to be asking a woman to be our fiance, and all these things. We're putting in the work before, in spite of all this stuff. And the crazy thing, well, not the crazy thing, this year alone, and to really debunk that, this year alone, I would have video 15 weddings. So I'm watching men want to get married. They want this stuff. The problem is that this spirit have is that men are looking for a certain woman that's going to add to his life. All this foolishness, we don't have time for. And that's why that spirit is angry, because everybody want to get picked. But it's up to that man to pick who he wants to love for the rest of his life. And you know what, brothers? They can stay mad. Hello.
You know, man. I want to ask before I get Robert in here. I want to ask Mel because I don't know what his time is going to look like in terms of the way he's moving. But man, I think that is really some powerful stuff that we have stumbled upon here. And I think that you're absolutely right, Cortez, in the fact that it is very likely the person that's not chosen that is likely to portray that particular message. And also, like you said, there's some men out here with that crazy perception about men too. We've had that talk on the show, with men that want to place a universal affirmative on the behaviors of men, which I have a problem with. But I think, man, that is such a powerful thing, man. The person that doesn't get chose can walk away and say, hey, he didn't want to commit. He had a problem with commitment. And in actuality, you didn't compel him to choose you. I've always said men don't have a problem with commitment. Men have a problem with the wrong commitment. And so men don't want to hastily choose a woman and wake up and go, shit, what have I done? Right? And so they might be a bit more methodical about it. Cause I don't date without looking down the road. Like, I'm past that. I don't date because I'm bored. I ain't got nothing to do. I date because I'm looking at the potential for our long term.
Somebody's done that years into the marriage. Just woke up year 5.
You woke up year 5. Mel, hopefully you've been walking and listening, man. But I'd love to, hear what your thoughts are.
So I got some unpopular opinions when it comes to this. I think the real issue is not that. Okay, so let's start here. I hate blanket statements, right? I hate blanket statements.
Yeah.
Men have a problem with, women have a problem with. It's some men, some women, whatever. I think the real issue is that some men have a challenge with temperance. It's not really the commitment thing, it's the temperance. And since they have a challenge with temperance, then that tends to keep them from pursuing commitment, because temperance isn't natural. Judge your mama, argue with me if you want to, but temperance isn't natural, because if it was, we wouldn't have to work towards it, right? We wouldn't have to work towards controlling our urges and being monogamous and all of that, because our natural physical urges would dominate our minds and our bodies, and for some men it does.
Do you think that's a human frailty, or do you think that frailty is disproportionate to men?
I honestly think it's disproportionate to men. It is a human frailty, not that women don't have it, but I don't think they have it as bad as us. Just from a physiological standpoint, I mean, if you think about what it takes to reproduce a baby, if they get pregnant, they're out of the game for 40 weeks. And for us, we could keep going and keep doing and keep spreading and keep whatever. And most women, once the temple has been impregnated, they don't have the desire for anyone than the other person who has helped create that soul. So that's the real challenge is temperance, and some men have a very hard time exercising that. And if they know that, if they're honest with that, and they know they don't have it under control, then that's when they have a problem with commitment. That's just my 2 cents.
I don't think that you're out of line at all. I mean, it might not be something that a lot of people maybe don't want to hear, but I think there's a lot of truth to what you say. I think that is where discipline comes in. I don't think you should turn that corner if you don't think you have a handle on the temperance piece, and if you do. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got that under control or not. You can say you do, and you'll know if you're not telling the truth. Before I get Glenn and Rob here, my barometer was I'm not going to commit to a woman that doesn't compel me. And when I say compel, I mean I need to be at peace in the room with all the other women that are walking in and out of that room. I need to look at mine and be like, I'm good. And that doesn't mean that she's got to be perfect. It means that she compels me in a way that I am not even curious about what their story is. You know what I'm saying? Like even on our worst day, this is who I want to ride with, because a lot of this is about a decision. We approach it like it's about this supernatural feeling that we're going to get, and it's going to determine what we do. And it's not that. It's a decision. You decide to love somebody for the rest of their life. You decide to commit to somebody.
And that's all it really is, bro. I mean, real talk. Like, I asked myself, and even before I was married, my compelling question was, do I stand to lose more than I stand to gain? And that's the only thing I needed to weigh it on. Like, do I actually stand to lose more than I stand to gain? And if the answer was yes, then, I knew what decision I had to make. If the answer was no, then I had to question, well, why am I really in this relationship? Right? But yeah, that's all it is, bro, is a decision. And that's all love is. Love ain't a feeling. Love ain't an emotion. Love is the decision to make a commitment and then being committed to that decision. That's all it is. It ain't about how they make you feel. It ain't about, how much you smile, how happy you are with them or without them. That's not it. It's the decision to make the commitment, then being committed to that decision.
Yeah, Glenn, I want you to get in here, and I want Robert to get in here, but I think that is part of what the media and movies and music has done to distort the reality of what that thing is. We've seen so many amazing love stories on the big screen, and that's really not what it's about. It's not about the butterflies. It's about a basis of love, and then you commit to the love that you have. Glenn, come on. I don't know if you really were clued into what we were talking about, but the original question in its context was the misconception, what I'm calling a misconception about men and commitment. Now, I before I have you chime in here, I will say I do struggle with men that are content to be in relationships for 10 years, knowing that the lady might want another level of relationship and they're just not even having the conversation, that kind of rubs me a weird way, because time is the one thing that you can't get back. And so I always believe when you take a woman's time, you know what I'm saying, you ought to take that seriously. When you take a woman's time and she gives you that time, you should take it seriously, because that's not being handed out anymore. And so I just kind of hate to see. I don't like anybody to walk away from a situation feeling like their time was wasted, and that is based on their expectations. If your expectations don't align, then someone could walk away feeling like their time was wasted. Come on, Glenn.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for the background noise. I'm doing my contract holdout at a party. So I think time goes both ways, Sean. I think it's the man's time too. So you don't know what you don't know about a person. You have to learn that person, and you have to get to know that person and learn kind of what you don't like about them and what you can tolerate with them. So it doesn't all happen magically in 6 months. And sometimes it doesn't always happen magically in a year. So you need to understand that. That's why I'm a big advocate of prenups, because you've been 0 for 99 on every relationship, and all of a sudden you think you're going to get it right and you don't need to protect yourself. That's not true. And Robert can attest to that. And not joking about Robert being divorced, but seriously, you don't know what you don't know about that person. And if they didn't reveal everything and they didn't reveal their best and worst selves about who they are, it's hard to make that decision and make that commitment sometimes. So, I don't know that it's men being difficult about commitment. It's about understanding what you're committing to, honestly.
I challenge you a little bit on, and I hear where you are when you say that it's the man's time too, but I challenge you a bit on that because we can leave those women alone. We don't have to petition them for their time. We're on the offense in that dynamic.
But we're
So we
all
can have don't
auditioning.
hey, you're not gonna cut me off. Um, so
Boy, I
we
can't wait till I take over the host duties from you.
so we can
Does the
very
microphone
easily
work?
we can very easily not ask that question or approach it from a different manner. But the truth is, as tradition has it, we petition them for their time. I'm not saying that our time isn't valuable. I'm saying that we petition them for the time.
But
So
I'm saying
so
our
to
time is as valuable. Our decision to be with that person is as valuable. So
I
we
get that.
discount.
So then why would you petition somebody and then leave it in an ambiguous state for six
So
or seven years?
the part that Glenn didn't hear you say probably was, if the man knows that this isn't what he wants, why is he wasting her time? That's
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah, if you weren't listening to those people in your ear about your contract, you would have heard what the hell I said. Robert Hazard.
Man, you
talk to me,
didn't.
man.
Man, you didn't hit this one all out of the park already. But let me say something. I think everything that we do is about a choice, and I think, to Glenn's point, when you are trying to experience someone, you want to go past the representative for them as well as for yourself. I also think it's a learning process for us. You mentioned, things that we see in the movies and in all of those things. Let's be honest, those things have a effect on us as we're growing up. Our association has an effect on us as well. So I think that we have to take in all those things into consideration. But if we have a good group support that sees that they can give us guidance, I don't think it will take us long to decide if this is the woman for us. I think you may have mentioned 8 years or 10 years, or we're talking about something else. But I don't think it takes that long for the issues that we bring to the relationship to come out, as well as the issues that we may see, the flags or whatever the things are that we may not be in a position to handle or navigate then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let me tell you. So let me drive it home then. I don't think that it takes a man. I don't think that men have a problem with committing. Let's just say that.
And I don't either. I 100% agree with you.
So I don't think that that's it. What they have seen growing up or today, they're worried necessarily about committing to the wrong person, in losing what Glenn talked about, prenups, in losing potentially what they have gained during this whole process. So I think that's a bigger issue. But
Robert, to support what you're saying, I don't think women understand what it's like to sit on the curb and watch a man that chose wrong. that gave the most sincere commitment he could across the board to have that thing backfire. You got to see that in real time to see how that can damage and destroy a man. And a lot of times, I don't think women respect the reality of the fact that so much of the way even the legal system as it handles that thing does not benefit men. Until you have watched a man who was on top of the world have to move into his mama's basement, because this woman was able to take everything from him in the breakup, you might not understand why men would be so calculated when they're looking at commitment. But that's why I say, and I support what Robert says, I've never thought men had a problem with commitment. Like Cortez said, all the weddings and shit that we see, they can't happen without a man asking a woman to marry them. But the thought of marrying the wrong woman, and I've always said that love that goes bad, I always put it on a scale, right? And I say if the scale of love is like this, and it goes bad, this is the middle. This is good, this is bad. When it goes bad, it doesn't move like this, right? It just flips. So that high level of love and good you had becomes that high level of bad. It's not like it diminishes and then the bad starts, at zero. That's not the way emotions work. And so when you see that happen, man, you understand, dude. And then as men get older, I believe they go, hell, I didn't hold out this long to then just, do anything. Like, it's got to be something that's special. And I think because of that, because of the price men pay when it goes bad, all of that, I think the fact that men can be a lot more calculated, I think we get a bad rap for it. And then the other thing is this: men don't come out of the womb with that as a goal. Women come out of the womb with that as a goal. Their whole goal is to position themselves for the prince and, this great magical guy who's going to ride up on a horse and change your life. And that's not a goal that's given to men, from the womb. Our goal is to go work and make money.
But that goes back to what we were talking about in terms of what we see in the media. Those are the stories that we have been told. Those are the things the women have been told in books and various other things growing up. I mean, it's even, biblically, you're looking for your Boaz. I mean, it's all of those different things, right? But I think that let's go back to, we do have a lot to lose when we make wrong decisions or bad decisions. But I also think that women also have something to lose as well by accepting the bad decision of the man that they chose. So I think it goes both ways. So I don't want us to
explain that a little further. I think I know what you mean, but explain that a little further.
So I think Mel talked about it. We all have a choice in what we do. And so, but I think it takes time, quality time, to figure out if this is the best person that lines up for you. Because when a divorce happens and, for me, and you become homeless and some other things for a short period of time, but
Man, I've been homeless twice. I ain't ashamed of it.
Yeah, I mean, but I think nobody's coming at me or you to say, was it her? Was it you? What happened there? And so I think, so it goes back to the storybook piece of it. I'm saying is the women want the prince. We're supposed to be the prince. We're not always equipped to be the prince because of circumstances or how we grew up. So it takes time to get us there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean that's.
Can I tell you something?
Come on,
yeah,
come
go
on,
for it.
I'm listening, and I'm not quite sure what perspective we're looking this on, but the original question is almost kind of rhetorical, because what we end up doing as men, we end up giving up our authority to the women. That's why the spirit of of all this stuff that can be said about men now is because we've given up this authority. I agree with the fairy tale in the beginning as children that women are looking for a prince, but what we're looking for is a wife. And the problem that we continue to have is that it takes time for the development to become a wife. Even the scripture tells us after we get married, Deuteronomy 24:5, just in case anybody want to ask, after we get married, we supposed to spend a year getting to know that woman who decided to become a wife. But what we do after we get married, we go back to normal. We go right back being a sister, a brother, and all these things. And we don't start practicing, even speaking the language of this is my wife, this is my husband, because now everybody is calling us by our familiar names. Hey, Cortez, wife. And we forget about, and we let the whole element of the connection we're supposed to have, it gets in the back burner because now we become parents. Now we can become entrepreneurs. Then we become all these things, and our marriage, our relationship that we supposed to have with that person start become challenging because we don't spend enough time getting to know each other. Before I met my wife, she walked past and I saw her and I was like, that's my wife. I dated my wife for 6 years because we were going through college. It's almost 23 years later, of course, we didn't had a lot of ups and downs, disagreements, and talked about everything under the sun. But outside of the choices that we made, there's a commitment. And when we commit to each other, all this stuff that we keep talking about, we can make any relationship work because we're committed to ourselves, we're committed to our jobs, our entrepreneurship, we're committed to a lot of things. But why, when it comes to our Black relationships, we have to always question? That's the reason why we constantly in these spaces of having all these same rhetorical conversations about the struggling of our relationships, because it becomes not just about the choice, it's about a commitment. And
Come
if
on,
we
Roger.
don't, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, I agree with everything that he said. Now, especially at the beginning, talking about the position of everything in a husband and a man. You know, my second year of marriage, you know, I had a card laminated that said head of household. And then it had the scripture to back it up. You know, every time we had a conversation, it got a little heated, you know, I just passed out that little card.
So every time you're in the emergency room, it's because you flashed that card and got your head peeled, I'm guessing.
Let me tell you something. I ain't scared of little Detroit. She 4'11" and a half. You know,
dude, the minute you say Detroit, I'm out. I'm hey.
You know, I got to get on my knees to have a face-to-face conversation with her. So, you know,
me too, dog. I mean, too.
Yeah, right. You know, you're gonna argue. Okay, let me come down to your level, or you can come up to mine. Let me get a suit. But you know, other than that, we're not gonna have this. My thoughts are above your thoughts. My ways are not your ways.
That's just because you're tall. That's all.
Okay, guy.
I will say this, man.
That's why she refers to me as Lord of the house.
No, that's like your middle name is Lord or something. So, you know, I also have to say, man, that before we move on to something else I want to talk about, I also have to say, and I don't know what your home life was like, but I do know that I came from. Well, I know Mel came from a 2-parent household. I came from a 2-parent household. My parents were married 31 years before my mom died. And my mom was my father's second wife. You know, so this man clearly did not have a problem with commitment. His first wife passed away. And his second wife, he married and stayed married to until she passed away. So it could be that that's a part of my pedigree, my personal pedigree. My older brother got married at 31. He's been married about 27 years or something now, you know. So it could be sometimes we take for granted, Cortez, when it's a part of our pedigree, but we also probably take for granted when it's not a part of our pedigree and it's not what we saw. I think about something you said, Cortez, made me think about the fact that, man, all my uncles growing up, they were all married. They were married and all committed to their marriage. I got One uncle, one uncle, the youngest boy on my mother's side, was the only uncle that I ever saw that never married. Every man that was in my family, that was a part of my life, married some multiple times. So all I saw, to your point, Cortez, is men that were willing to make that major commitment. So why? So who are we talking about? When we have that where are these men that are afraid of commitment? Because I've been seeing men commit my whole life. So, but anyway, I want to move on because this has been so compelling, and it's already 9:40. I want to ask this question, man. I saw this earlier in the week, and it really kind of rocked me. And I said, man, I can't wait to get this to the cave and ask them. And ladies, based on this conversation, the one we just had, you'll probably warm up to this conversation quite a bit. Um, do men, especially, and like Mel said, I'm not asking this of all men. This is just a casual question, maybe proportionate, whatever. But do the men that had the mothers like I had, did everything, cook, clean, yada yada yada. These were my mother should have been one of the Avengers, with all the shit she did, right? Does that distort, man, what we're looking for? Are we looking for women that are superheroes like our superhero mothers were? Are we kind of are we skewed in what we're looking for? Come on, Big
No,
Mel.
no, no. Go ahead,
Well,
Sean. I'm sorry.
Mel actually raised
So,
his hand, and he's in the airport. So I want him.
Sean, let me ask you a question. Did your mom work? Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
We
sir.
can hear
If
you.
you can't, if you can't see me, if you can hear me, yes, sir. She worked
Okay,
my whole life. Yep.
your mom did work. All right, so I think one of the major differences is for a lot of people that grew up like that, depending on the type of job that their mom had or whatever, and what type of hours their dad was putting in, the expectation was there because the man had a very labor intensive job, and really didn't have the energy to do anything when he got home because he was too busy bringing home the bacon. Once my mom had my brother, my dad was like, "You can stay home and take care of the boys. I don't want them to be latchkey kids." And I mean, I grew up in Terrytown, so I'm fortunate to have had that type of influence because I still got in trouble even being in a two-parent household. I think the major difference today, though, is that in some situations, some women have jobs that are just as demanding as the jobs that the men have, and hell, they tired when they get home too. And some men are not willing to split the responsibility. The expectation is, you do all the cooking, all the cleaning, all this other stuff, and I just get to come home and sit around and do nothing, because I work. Well, shit, she working too. So, it's just a little bit different, I think, these days. I think sometimes we make comparisons about eras that have changed and what it takes to really support a household and have a decent standard of living now is a little bit different than what it took, in the 60s, 70s, even the 80s.
So, well, then I'm going to ask you this, and I'm not trying to, get in your business. You have a wife that's an entrepreneur, and she's a hungry career woman just like you are, and um, of course, children hasn't haven't changed your dynamic this early on. But so when you think about Mo versus your mom, who decided to stay home, do you think who your mom was had any influence on your ultimate choice? Because I always would say that my dad not only taught me how to be, he taught me how I didn't want to be as well. He had things that I wasn't necessarily wild about.
Yeah, I would say that my mom taught me how to desire an amazing woman, whatever that looked like to me. It wasn't about the chores that they did, it was about how they treated me. So, with Monique being just as ambitious as I am, a lot of responsibilities we split. You know what I mean? Like, I'll cook, but I've never washed the dish because she's like, man, if you made the food, least I could do is wash the dishes. She'll do some stuff. I don't like anybody touching my laundry. So I'm gonna wash all my clothes, and since I'm washing my clothes, I'm gonna wash hers too. don't make no sense to be like, well, you got to wash your own clothes. But I'm very meticulous about my clothing, so I don't mind washing the clothes. So, it's not an expectation of, you the wife, you got to do all these things. I mean, it's stuff that I do too. We work more so. Who's better at getting this done? That's the person that does it. But as far as the influence of my mom taught me not necessarily what a woman should do, but how a woman should be. And the being is more important than the doing to me.
Before I ask Robert to jump in here, I wanna say that that's the perfect example of how the same thing can take on different packaging. Because I was in a relationship before, and what you just described as a beautiful meeting of two people who love each other in a committed relationship, going, hey, let's give this some balance. I experienced in a relationship where I was told, I'm not cooking unless you wash the dishes. That's a different thing. That's a different energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For you and Mo to meet in the middle and say, hey, I respect your energy and your effort in this space, so I'm going to do this to counter it. That's one thing. But to have somebody say, okay, I'm not cooking unless you doing this. You don't even have to be unwilling to do that. It's just a matter of how that tastes and feels to you being given to you that way. Robert, are we looking for superheroes, man? If we had a superhero mom, or superhero aunts, or those ladies in our lives that we watched with the capes, are we looking for that, man? Is that what's happened to us?
I'm not. I think that the piece for me, I come up from a different society. I'm also a believer, a Christian, and I think that what I've experienced in my relationships in marriages, who's ever better at washing the clothes, cooking, or doing those things, or working. Let's support those people. Let's be the cheerleader and the supporter there. So in my relationships, I have two kids, right? So the kid's mother did not have to change diapers as much, because those are my kids. When it comes to the family structure, cooking, cleaning. I didn't want my wife to come home and have to worry about if I'm at home. If I'm at home, I'm going to be cooking and doing all those things. So I think it's about balance, and it's about agreeing to what that looks like for your home. And if you can come up with what that looks like, because remember, we're a team. Cortez talks about it a lot. Roger does as well. We're a team, and whoever's better at those things, let's work at that. So
my wife is phenomenal at cutting the grass. So
we'll get him later. But I mean, my dad was, a Superman to me, because he worked two full-time jobs and did some things. And my mother, they were married for 50 years. My mother took care of the cooking and things like that. And as kids, we took care of the cleaning of the house.
Can I ask a question real quick?
I'm not in the roles.
Robert and Sean, so I'm not taking anything away from what our mothers or fathers did, one parent, because I think that in our community, we tend to attach kind of what Chris Rock said. You want to get praised for what you're supposed to do. I see you, Mel. There you
go.
Yep. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't say my mom wasn't a superwoman for what she did, but she just did what she needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And men just did what they needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so we end up putting these people on these pedestals or holding this thing that I'm looking for a superwoman. No, I'm just looking for you to be a good human being, to be a wife, to be my partner. And if that means that I do the dishes and you cook, fine. If that means that I take care of the house, you take care of the car, whatever it is, it's just balance. But I think that you end up in a situation where when you say, hey, you have to live up to what my mother did or what my dad did because she was a superwoman, she did all these things, or he was a superman because he did all these things. And don't get me wrong, I look at my dad like he was Superman. This dude got a master's degree in civil engineering in 9 months, which had never been done at Stanford University. So he is unbelievable to me. But he did it because he had to, because his boss told him, you got 9 months to get that degree and get back, thinking he could never do it. But would I hold my daughter to that? I wouldn't. I just think that we get into this thing of just just be decent. Do what you're supposed to do. You whatever that is for you. I'm not saying that, hey, a woman, you got to be barefoot in the kitchen and cooking all that type of stuff, or man, you got to be cutting the yard. My wife loves to work out. She does it 3-4 times a week. If she misses a workout, she cuts the grass. I have a heart issue. We've lost 2 friends that have died literally cutting the grass. So she's iffy. I snuck and cut the grass one day and she freaked out. And I ain't gonna lie, I felt some kind of way after I was done. So I was like, I'll never touch the grass again. So we joke about it, but I don't touch the yard. She does it all the time and she loves to work out. So that's it. Is she a superwoman? Yeah. But also for her, it's no big deal. I love working out anyway. I miss my workout day. Let me go cut the grass. But I just think that just look at treat your wife, treat your husband just the way you want to be treated and expect out of them what they should expect out of you. As long as it's equal, and like to Mel's point, you come to this understanding before you get married and have these conversations before you get married, you won't be surprised or disappointed when you get married. I got 23 years in this thing and I'm happy and laugh every single day of my life.
And your wife got 2 husbands and you happy. So that
why we
shows
like
you that that anything is possible. And before Mel comes in here, I want to say I don't want us to lose the context of the question though, because I hear what all of you guys are saying, but I've seen this meme 3 or 4 times just this week alone, and what the meme says is that we're basically looking for the woman we watched as children. And to Mel's credit, there are a lot of things that change that. The era you live in, what the world looks like now versus then. I mean, my mother died a day after her 55th birthday, and my mother looked like an older woman to me. Now, to me, what I know to be 55 is not what my mother was. My mother was equal to about 71, you know what I'm saying, based on how the world has become more conscious about fitness and eating and all of that. You know, that 55 is not this 55. So I respect the fact that we're in a different era. But I do wonder if there's some truth to that. If we watched our parents be these amazing people against these amazing odds, and then we go, okay, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I can validate. Come on, Cortez.
Brother Raj pretty much said everything, but it's just unfortunate what we're taught, and we hold on to it until the day we die, and we pass on this stuff. And
we do pass on some bullshit, Cortez. Across the board, we pass on some bullshit.
And what we end up doing, because we start comparing everybody to mama, our wives, our sisters, our aunties. That's why we have this value with men, that we'll protect our women at all costs, because we look at everybody from a mama perspective, which we end up doing when we get married. We compromise our positions. And we figured that the best thing that was said tonight about this, what Rod said, you should want to do it anyway. It shouldn't be no he, she do that, because all we do is talk about inside the house. The husband, the father works too, and we tend to act like men don't work, and we get tired. But when we get tired, we don't make a fuss about going out changing the oil, do we? We don't make a fuss about the garbage being taken out.
We kind of can't. We don't get that luxury.
No. That's a compromised response. Nobody comes to say, "Daddy, you're tired. Let me take out the garbage."
But what I'm saying is, as men, we've been taught that it's a weakness to say that. We might feel that. We might feel that. We might feel like we don't have enough strength to walk up the stairs. But if she says, "I got 6 bags of groceries in the trunk," you gonna go and pop the trunk and lug them up 3 flights of stairs, and you're not gonna complain.
Right, and I agree with that. And the flip side of that, you're right, we won't complain. We will do what we're supposed to do because we made a commitment to make this work.
Then we'll die of a heart attack, and nobody will ever realize that we were spent, but we didn't know how to say, "Hey, I need a moment. I need a day."
Listen, blank out, because that's a whole nother conversation. that the stress that we take on because we don't say nothing, and nobody cares how tired, drained we are, but yet we still go. But we're always talking about how tired mama is.
The tragic story of the dude that died at 50, but but part of that is because we haven't mentioned this. We haven't mentioned how we're feeling. We haven't mentioned the weight of what. I think that is one of the most tragic things is how men have been groomed to not be able to speak their pain. You know what I'm saying? And then you have some women who actually can't affirm a man that is able to speak his pain. He's a weak man to her.
Would they say that men are the only ones that are not loved unconditionally?
Chris Rock said it best. Only women and dogs.
Yeah.
And children.
Women, dogs, and children.
Right. Men are loved under the condition that they provide something. You can't just be and that
Provide
be enough for you to be loved.
Well, provide now because nobody wants to be protected anymore. They all think they can handle it themselves.
Until it gets too big for them, then they run and get you.
I just want to say something for 10 seconds. Literally, Sean, what you just said, I just had a conversation with 14 married men, and we talked about healing. And you wouldn't believe how many men start opening about how they needed healing because of all these type of things. And there were men opening up vulnerable, getting emotional because they never had a space to do it.
Well, we could do a whole show, Cortez, on the fact that even the women that they live with, most men aren't comfortable talking to them. Really talking to them about what they're feeling and what they're thinking because they're too afraid of how the woman is going to perceive them after they reveal that weakness. And so then you have, when you bottle up stuff and you can't get it out, what do you think it does? It bubbles up, internalize it, and it eats away at you on the inside.
Yeah, I know a guy that said he's been married 40 years and never cried in front of his wife, even at funerals. I'm like, dude, that's human. He's like, no. He's like, she wouldn't understand. She'd look at me cross-eyed. I'm like, if you can't even cry in front of your wife at a funeral, there's a problem.
There's a big problem, and that's why we need therapy. And I know we've talked about this a number of times, but for men that are struggling with that type of situation with their wives, where they don't see the protection, they need to have someone that they can talk to from a therapeutic perspective that can help them with solutions to be able to do that.
If you're a regular watcher of this show, now is about the time that I asked the production team how much time we have, but the guy that I'm asking is right there in the white shirt.
1 minute.
So
you're already over. You got 1 minute. You got I lie to you and tell you 2 minutes less than what you got.
1 minute.
I know you're going to talk.
But I want them to know who it is being mean to me in the background. They never see the face of the person being mean to me.
Well, we can handle that. This is the face. This is the face right here.
We lost Mel and Glenn. I don't know where they were. Glenn
had to go back to a function, and Mel, I think his plane was called.
Okay. Well, look, man, this is our time, man. I had about 6 different things, man, down to talk about. But these topics, man, were so impactful. And so, why are you laughing, Robert?
You had 6? Did you hit all 6?
Well, I always have more than we need, so that if one of y'all decide, I don't have an opinion, then I have somewhere else to go. But
thanks,
these two, that first topic, man, I mean, took 40 minutes, and I really think we could have done an entire show on it. I just, didn't.
I think we ought to do just not a marriage show.
Yeah. Well,
most of us. Let me know when I don't have to join that one.
Come on, baby.
Hey, Robert, when we do that, I'm going to move you right up here to the top, dude. There you go.
Well, Robert, the criteria is not being married. It's having at least been married. So,
okay. Well, I can handle that.
And if that's the case, you got more experience than even they do.
Collectively, I've got over 30
they might have years on you, but you got different runs on them. You got different runs, Hey, man, great show. Cortez, always good to see you, man. Keep us abreast of what you're doing, and when you're doing it so that we can support you, man. We always love our time with you, man, and we
day.
appreciate you carving an hour out of your schedule to spend with us. You two knuckleheads, I have nothing good to say about. I'm just glad that my time talking to y'all is over, and I'll see y'all in the green room. I'll see y'all in the green room. And everybody watching, thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you next Thursday at 9. It's been live from the cave for sure.
Thank you. Good night. Okay, now here's the after party with just me. So a lot of you guys know that, and I'm not going to do that tonight. Listen, we appreciate you watching. Please share the show as much as possible. We're actually going to have a surprise for you in about a month or so. You'll be able to watch us in a lot more places than you think. Appreciate you guys.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, Roger. I was laughing out loud. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Have a good one. Thanks, everybody.
Where's the hook?
Camped out at home for COVID? Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.